You bought a cheap AR feeling like a genius, right? Well, I did too. But the minute I started thinking about going to the range, I realized that my great deal was kind of a lie. I couldn't even safely fire one shot because I was missing over $500 in mandatory gear. This is the checklist most people don't tell you about when you buy your AR for the first time. I'm CJ, and this is the complete, honest financial breakdown of AR-15 ownership. By the end of this, you're not going to just know the hidden costs of your AR, but I'm giving you a crystal clear, specific annual budget so you're not a surprise beginner and become a fully prepared, safe, and financially realistic gun owner. So we spent a bunch of money on our new AR. Let's be kind and say it was about 350 bananas. But what if I told you the true cost of that big banana pile hasn't even started yet? And I'm talking about ammo here. You might be noticing that I'm going to be using the economics of bananas as our pricing matrix here. Number one, because I like bananas, and number two, I don't want to make the powers that be upset at our little YouTube channel here. Most gun owners make a huge, expensive mistake right away, and you could be wasting up to 70% every time you hit the range, which is setting your bananas on fire in this case. But where can we find the best deal on ammo? Let me tell you. Where you buy your ammo matters a lot. You've got three main options here. First, the gun range. This is your most expensive option, bar none. They charge you for convenience and overhead, and if you're buying a 20-round box of 5.56, for example, which is what our budget AR is chambered in, you're looking at about 60 to 80 cents per round, sometimes even more. That's a 30 to 70% markup on the bulk price. Honestly, buying your range ammo here is like paying for a fancy steak dinner just to go get a hot dog. So if you plan ahead just a little bit, you shouldn't be forced to buying the expensive stuff last minute right before you hit the firing lane. Second, you've got big box or farm stores. Think Fleet Farm or Bass Pro Shops here. This is your mid-range. You'll usually see prices about 45 to 60 cents per round. That's better than the range, reasonable if you just need a couple of boxes right away, but it's still above market price here. But if you want the best deal, you've got to go online and buy in bulk. This is where the serious shooters live. When you buy a 1,000-round case, you can drop your cost dramatically, often landing in the sweet spot of about 30 to 50 cents per round. So if you're serious about training, treat that initial cost like a business investment. Buy a whole case online and watch your shipping costs disappear when you hit that bulk threshold. Your wallet will thank you later. No matter where you're buying your ammo, just remember to account for this expense when you're considering buying an AR. Give careful thought to what kind of ammo you want to shoot, like defense ammo or FMJs, for example. What caliber you're shooting in, how often are you planning on shooting? All of these will help you figure out your overall ammo cost per year. It's worth mentioning here that current events can cause ammo prices to spike. Buying during panic period is always the worst time to buy, guys, so don't do that. Think the Obama-era bans in 2013 or any other kind of crisis like the 2020's Summer of Love or when big-time wars break out. Add to that shortages in brass, powder, and other materials, and yeah, ammo prices can change at the drop of a hat, so maybe think about stocking up when prices are low so that you're not in a pinch later on when or if prices spike. So let's go ahead and get 4 boxes of 5.56 ammo. That's going to be 25 big bananas, which is the best price that I could find online. And let's move on next to some accessories. Okay, on to accessories. This is where people get lost spending a fortune on what they want instead of what they actually need. Forget the cool looking carbon fiber buttstock for a second, and you just need 2 reliable things: reliable sights and plenty of magazines. So let's talk about the optics and where should you put your money. First, you have good, which is the absolute minimum you need. Iron sights. Period, guys. I recommend something simple like the UTG low profile flip up irons for about 50 bananas or so. They don't need batteries, they never fail electronically, and they are the bare minimum to get you shooting safely and practicing the fundamentals of marksmanship. If you want to learn more about those, then you can check out this video right over here. But But if you're spending the money, why not spend a little bit more and grab a budget red dot sight? Something like the Stinger Axiom 2 at just about 90 bananas or so. These are great because they're fast to learn, they have a QD mount to swap between different rifles, and you have that lifetime warranty. You're not going to beat the price for the quality here. Finally, you have the best options, and this is when you can really stretch out your rifle's legs. If your budget allows, go for a quality low-power variable optic or an LPVO, like the Vortex Strike Eagle 1-8 for about 400 bananas. This is your do-it-all option, perfect for the shooting range and for stretching out the rifle's legs a bit further when you want to reach out to longer distances. Now, a heads up, these are usually going to require a separate mount, which is an extra cost. So again, just keep that stuff in mind. Finally, you have to have magazines. Don't be that guy at the shooting range with just one magazine. When I was first starting out, I only had a couple of mags, and I was constantly having to unload and reload and take my precious range time to reload my magazines every 15 or 30 shots. I even had to ask some range buddies to borrow their magazines before I went out to the range. We'll talk more about how this can affect your training and using up that precious range time later on. So to avoid being baby shooter CJ, I would say grab at least 2 extra spares along with the magazine that should have come with your gun. You can get a pack of 5 for about 50 bananas. Having a few spares saves you time constantly reloading at the bench, and it's just necessary if you plan on running any kind of drills. So here we are with our gun. I'm gonna get the Axiom 2 for 90 bananas, and we can get 4 extra magazines, which is about 40 bananas. So our total right now is about 512 bananas. Now let's move on to cleaning equipment and some lubrication. Get your head out of the gutters, guys, and let me ask, you wouldn't buy a race car and never change the oil on it, right? Your AR is the same way. The lack of proper cleaning and maintenance is the quickest way to end a fun range day. Furthermore, most out-of-the-box ARs are covered in grease called cosmoline from the factory to protect the firearm during shipping, so it's always a good idea to clean them properly before going out to the range in the first place. For a solid start, grab something like the Otis or Wheeler cleaning kit. The ones we always like to use in our range bag, though, are the Real Avid Gun Boss. This cleaning kit is great because it has everything in a waterproof case. A full cleaning rod, specific brushes for your bore and your bolt, and little packets of things to clean all the junk off of your AR in a pinch. For chemicals, you'll need some CLP or some cleaner lubricant and protectant. A big can like this is maybe 10 bananas, and that'll last you ages. CLP has a lot of science behind it that I don't necessarily know, so if you want me to do a whole video on this, breaking it down, then let me know in the comments. I'd be kind of interested to learn myself. After cleaning, you're gonna have to add some lube. You can use the classic gun lube like this, the G96 Complete Gun Oil, but I really like this stuff from We the Pew Pew. It acts more like a gun butter and it's easier to spread without leaking and making a mess all over my gun. But honestly, it's hard to go wrong with gun oil, so maybe try a few and see which one that you like better. So some CLP, some gun oil, and the cleaning kit, that's gonna be about 53 extra bananas added to our budget. So you're clean, you're lubed, and you're ready to hit the gun range, but where are you going to put all of this stuff? Well, our next is a mandatory cost this time, guys, and it's the gun range bag. Please, please, please don't be the guy who shows up at the range with a rifle in one hand and a grocery bag full of mags in the other. I've seen it, you can certainly do it, but everyone is judging you when you show up like that to the range, guys, so be a little professional and bring a range bag with you. So you're gonna have 2 main paths here. The budget route, like this Allen Edge 38-inch rifle case. It's totally fine, it'll protect your rifle on its way to the range, and it has a couple of pockets here and there for you to put your gear or any extra magazines that you might have. The catch here is that you're gonna have to carry all your mandatory gear, like your extra ammo, but then also things like your eye pro and your ear protection that we're gonna talk about in a little bit. You're probably gonna have to bring all of that in an extra bag, something like an old gym bag or something like that, if you're trying to save money. No shame in pinching pennies here, but that is still a 2-bag setup at the end of the day. Then you have the best option, which is investing in something like the Magpul DACA. Around 135 bananas is what this one will cost you. This thing is sleek, it's virtually bomb-proof, and it works with their whole organized ecosystem. You can organize your gear so well that you'll spend more time shooting and less time digging through a pile of stuff just to find your earplugs. Trust me, the minute you see how organized you can be, you'll wonder why you ever tried to make that crusty old gym bag happen. Good gear makes a good training experience even better. Real quick, guys, this is another example of a professional or a top tier gear organization system. So I'm gonna crack this open. This is from a company called Condition 1 Cases. We got some buddies over there. Definitely go check those guys out if you want. But so as you can see, we have in here places to organize 3 different guns. We have a whole Daniel Defense AR-15 right here. We have a spot for a handgun, in this case, a Glock 45. We have a shotgun up here. We have places to put shotgun shells, magazines, all that fun stuff. We even have cutouts where we can put more stuff in there, guys, like our Ear Pro or Eye Pro. This, again, is an example of a really nice premium system that you can get, but might not be for everybody when they're first starting out, but it's definitely an option for us. For us, I'm going to grab this basic rifle case, then I'm going to use this ammo bag that we got at Cabela's, our local hardware store, for about 30 bananas or so, as our range bag to carry all of our extra stuff. All right, look, this next section isn't optional. It's the most important place not to pinch a penny. This is your eyes and your ears we're talking about, and they don't sell extra replacement parts at the pro shop for those. Seriously. You must have proper eye protection and hearing protection before you even touch the firing line. Many ranges won't even let you go inside of them until you put those things on. For your eyes, you don't need to go crazy here though, guys. You could just pick up some Howard Light safety glasses for about 9 bananas. They're cheap, effective, and you should keep a few pairs as backups around anyway. For shooting though, I would look for an ANSI Z87 Plus rating, which means they're certified to stop high velocity fragments. The better choice is like these Stinger Ridges here that ditch the dorky look and have some anti-fog coating and lets you swap out these lenses for different colors. But if you want to be truly bomb-proof, look for ballistic rated gear like mil-proof standard glasses. These are like Josh's old beat-up Oakleys you can see here. They're designed for military-level fragmentation protection. Next is hearing protection, and the cheapest option here is some foam earplugs or ear foamies for 5 bananas at Walmart. They work by blocking some of the noise, but they're not perfect. You could upgrade from that to some simple over-ear muffs, which are great if you're solo and you just want total silence. But here's the game changer. Pass-through electronic ear pro, like a trusty pair of Walkers or something similar like these more upgraded shell shocks. They only cost about 50 bananas, and they're worth every penny because they shut down loud noises but let you hear your buddy talking or the instructor giving instructions. You could spend hundreds more, but a basic electronic pair is a massive safety and communication upgrade, and you'll really like it when you're shooting with some range buddies. For us, I'm going to spend a little bit more and get some Stinger Ridges and some Walker Electronic Ear Pro, since I like to talk with my buddies out at the range and I occasionally like to hear what they have to say too. Now that I've got these 2 things locked down, we can actually go to the range. Let's go. So we've covered the rifle, the gear, the ammo. Now, where are we going to shoot at all? Well, we're right here at our local shooting range to talk about the next hidden cost of owning a handgun or an AR-15, the range fee. If you're going to a public indoor range, you're typically looking at anywhere from 20 bananas to 30 bananas an hour just to rent a lane. If you're going once a week, that bill adds up fast, way faster than what you would think. Now, most ranges do offer a membership, however. These can run from a couple of hundred bananas annually up to a few hundred a month. But if you're there often, it usually ends up saving you money in the long run. Plus, memberships often give you perks like dedicated lanes or discounts on ammo and training classes, which we'll talk about more later. Some even let you access the range before the shop opens to the public, which is a huge benefit if you're looking for a little bit less foot traffic while you're shooting, or you're just an introvert, which I see you guys. But let's be real, the true life hack, the gold standard for saving money and getting the best training is having access to your own private slice of dirt. If you've got a buddy, or better yet, an uncle with a farm or some private land you can safely shoot on, that is the best case scenario. It costs you absolutely $0. You can shoot anytime you want, and you can practice drills and movements that no indoor range will ever let you do. If you have the opportunity, I would take it in a heartbeat, guys. There's nothing better than having private range access. Trust me on that one. So let's jump back into our banana budget. If we go to a local indoor range like this one, 10 hours a month, that's gonna add up. It's gonna be about 300 bananas right there. But speaking of shooting, I've seen guys with $5,000 rifles and zero training that couldn't hit the broadside of a barn at 5 yards. Sometimes that's me included, guys. That rifle is only as good as the shooter behind it. The most crucial upgrade you can invest in isn't an optic or a trigger, it's your own skill set. This is the most overlooked part in the budget, in-person training. Honestly, no amount of watching goomers like me on YouTube is a substitute for a qualified instructor standing right next to you, watching your fundamentals and correcting them in real time. A dedicated defensive rifle or carbine course typically is somewhere between 50 bananas and 300 bananas per session, with the price varying based on duration, training facility, and your local areas. For example, local options we recommend here at AT3 Tactical, such as stock and barrel or defensive mindset training, offer excellent classes. If you're in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota, be sure to check them out and let them know AT3 sent you. Sure, it's an upfront cost, but think of it this way. A 250 banana class that makes you a safe, proficient shooter is a much smarter investment than another 250 banana red dot sight that you can't hit anything at distance with because your fundamentals are off. Investing in training is the final and best way to upgrade your AR experience. So I'm going to say we keep things basic. Go to a defensive mindset course for 1 month. That's about 50 bananas per class, and it's about 600 bananas for the whole year. So we've covered the rifle, we've covered the gear, the ammo, the training, and it all adds up at the end, guys. But now it's time to bring it home and give you the clear, actionable, and specific annual budgets. This isn't the initial cost of the gun. This is what you must spend every year to be a safe, proficient, and responsible AR owner. We've broken it down into 3 tiers, and the biggest variable here is going to be the ammo that you put down range. First up, the beginner tier. You're only shooting about 500 rounds a year. I'm saying we order some bulk ammo, so that's going to be about 250 bananas. Your 134 fixed gear cost accounts for the good options we talked about. The basic iron sights, the ear foamies with some over-ear muffs, the basic Howard Light glasses, some cleaning gear, and a budget rifle case. I'm also going to say you take 4 sessions a year of a carbine course from Defensive Mindset. That's the class I would recommend for our local area. That's about $50 per class once a quarter. Let's say you hit a basic indoor range once a month. That's 350 bananas for the whole year. So your total operating cost for the year, it's about 1,153 bananas a year, give or take a few banana peels here and there. Before I continue though, I can already hear you guys in the comments yelling at me, telling me that that's not true. These are estimates, and they're highly flexible depending on ammo costs, local economics, the local costs of trainings that you can find, how often you go to the range, the list goes on and on here, guys. Treat this as more of an estimate and a ballpark rather than gospel. And if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. I love reading how I'm wrong down there. Next is the intermediate shooter. This is where you'll actually start to train seriously. You're pushing around 2,500 rounds a year downrange. That's about 1,250 bananas in bulk ammo. Your 339 fixed gear budget allows for the better upgrades that we talked about throughout. Maybe a budget red dot sight, a nicer Z87C Stinger shooting glasses, Walker pass-through ear protection, and a mid-range case like a Bulldog BDT for about 100 bananas, for example. I'm going to assume you're hitting the range about twice a month, so that's what we're going to account for, and that's going to be about 700 bananas for the whole year. Depending on your area, this is probably where you'll want to think about a range membership of some kind, but we'll get into that a bit later. I'm also going to say that you're going to take 2 weekend carbine classes a year at about 400 bananas per class, which is around 800 bananas for the total. So your total here is a more aggressive 3,089 bananas a year. Now, I would say about 90% of people will fall into the beginner category and maybe about 9% fall into the intermediate category here. But like most things in life, there is the 1%. These are the people who are obsessed with the martial art of shooting, and they have the means and the time to put some big money into their skills. This person is most likely a competitive shooter of some kind, someone in the gun industry who is really passionate, or they're a serious professional who works with firearms every single day. We're talking 5,000 rounds a year here, which is about 2,500 bananas in ammo alone. Your 1,215 bananas fixed gear budget includes the best components: the LPVO, the mount, the true ballistic rated iPro, comms compatible hearing protection, extra cleaning gear to properly maintain the gun after so many rounds, and top tier organizational bags like the Magpul Daco or the Condition 1 case we talked about. For range time, I decided I wanted to get us the nicest membership that I could find in our local area, which costs around 1,500 bananas. That gives me unlimited range access, free guest pass, free gun rental, free private instruction and training, and a bunch of other goodies. I'm also going to bundle in another 350 bananas a year to budget for a few trips to some private land and some food for those trips. At this level, you're looking at 5,565 bananas or more per year. Again, I would say a pretty rare person is going to spend that kind of money. Depending on what skill level you are and what skill level you want to be, it's going to cost you anywhere from 800 to almost 5,000 bananas a year to be a responsible, safe, well-trained, competent AR owner. If you're just starting out and you want to get even more competent, go check out this video where Josh teaches you the 7 fundamentals of marksmanship. But remember, guys, don't go thinking you got a really good deal on that $350 banana rifle and think that that's the end of the story. It's just the beginning, unfortunately. Or you could do what most people do and spend about 1,000 bananas on a rifle that sits in your safe all year collecting dust. That, my friends, is 0 bananas a year. We'll see you later. For a solid start, grab something like the Otis or... Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I saw that. I saw my life flash before my eyes.